From the shadowed peaks of the Salt Lake Valley to the mist-covered banks of the Hudson Valley and all across the globe, the signal drifts through the night. This is Midnight Signals. Now, here are your hosts, Sergeant Shenanigator and Alien Mike.
Alien Mike, how are you tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And for everybody out there, we got a special guest, our Bigfoot resident expert. We got Jay up here.
Hello,
How
everybody.
you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
Oh,
Good.
I'm excited for this episode.
Surprisingly, I am too.
I was really shocked when I saw the message earlier that Mike was not 100% a skeptic anymore after last night's discussion.
Hold on. Let me reiterate.
99.9%. We'll go that way.
We'll go that way. I still am skeptic, but I'm even more excited to learn more about this now.
Oh, I am too.
Everything that has been put out in the outline has been just fantastic. So
what we're going to do tonight is we're just going to let Jay run the show. We're going to sit back and ask some questions, take some questions from you guys out there. So please feel free to interact and have a good time. With that being said, Jay, go ahead. Tell us
Welcome,
about
everybody.
Bigfoot around the world.
And hopefully we'll get some believers tonight or some people thinking more about it. As I said, I'm Jay. Bigfoot extraordinaire, really into him expert. We've got the names Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, Wild Man of the Woods. And the first thing we're going to talk about is that, surprisingly, Bigfoot is pretty much everywhere in the world. You can find him pretty much on every single continent. And I really think that speaks to the validity of Squatch just based on the fact that he's everywhere. So we'll save North America where we are for last. But we'll start with South America. Hello, everybody. Going to kind of start with an interesting creature, maybe not completely Sasquatch, but it's called the Mapinguari, and it lives in the your Bigfoot
While Jay unfreezes.
Yep. Yeah, just be prepared for that a little
I
bit.
apologize for my internet.
That's totally fine.
It was working fine earlier for the last half hour we were talking.
Yeah.
So starting with the Brazilian rainforest, we've got the Mapinguari, and not so much like a giant squatch or a monkey per se. It's more like a giant sloth, where they found this sloth that's about like 6 foot tall, wandering through the rainforest, kind of like defending it or really seen as a guardian. And then it's said to have about 1 or 2 eyes, and then its stomach has like a giant mouth there. So it's a bit more of like a mythological creature than anything related to a Sasquatch. But we'll see a lot like the indigenous people have stories about seeing these creatures in the rainforest, and as well as colonists when they got into the rubber cycle and exploring as well as when they also were seeing this thing. They believe it's an omnivore. And I'm going to sound like a broken record as we talk about the Squatch everywhere, but one of the things that a lot of them have is an absolute horrible smell. And so some are like, you can't even get near this thing because it smells so bad. Going a bit more south into the Andes Mountains around Argentina, Bolivia, Peru, it's called the Ucumar. This one is definitely related to the Squatch. There are people living in towns at like the bases of the mountains, and they will tell you that this thing exists. As we see, the Squatch really loves mountains and woods. Basically, if you have hilly forests near a mountain, that's typically where these are found. And so a lot of them are found in the Andes Mountains. These tend to be more aggressive down in South America. Apparently, they made a movie about it in 2022 called El Ucumar, which I haven't seen, but it's on the list now. They're mean, they're aggressive. They tend to come down from the mountains and eat livestock. Some people have been reported that they've been kidnappings, as well as the horrible smell of like smelling like rotting meat. And really, there was a surgence of them and seeing them in like 1950s, 1960s, which we'll hear from the dates like over and over again. When people started reporting it to the police, seeing footprints and things like that. And so we actually have a howl that someone recorded while they were in the Andes Mountains. Now, whether it is or not, it's definitely a very creepy howl that we're going to post in the chat and share with you all. I mean, it's a 7-second creepy howl that if you heard in the middle of the woods, like, what would you do?
I wouldn't be in those woods anymore.
Yeah.
Well, needless to say, I just about peed my pants because I wasn't expecting it. So it would probably scare the hell out of me.
Hey, I want to go back to Brazil for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that they have single eye or two eyes.
Yes.
Is this similar to a cyclops, or is this completely separate?
I think it's part of like the mythological discussion versus it being reality. They said like when things have one eye, it kind of symbolizes it being more bestial or like more of a monster. But I think it's kind of the tales by the indigenous people is not consistent. Some have one eye, some have two eyes, and that's actually something we can bring up in the future. Is that relations to like cyclops and giants is kind of a possible link in the history and the mythology of these creatures.
Okay, so I do have one question. And I mean, you already kind of gave a little bit of an example. When you say the smell, because that's something that I've heard from a lot of people as well. What is that smell aside from, you said the villagers said rotted meat?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a distinct smell, like, or a description you can give of it?
Let's see. They said rotting meat or sour milk or like wet dog. I mean, you have to think, you've got this big hairy creature possibly not bathing itself very regularly, just going through the mountains and the woods. Let me see if anyone gave more specifics on the odor.
Yeah, I was looking in the outline, and maybe I just missed it, but I'd heard, of course, from you, the rotted meat, and then most people say things like, a wet dog that's been rolling around in the mud and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm checking like the rest of them because a lot of them say like horrible smell. I mean, when we get to like the one in Florida, that's going to be like the swamp,
right? Which I know that smell all too well.
All right.
So yeah, we can if we get to it.
I'm going to pause here for a minute because I think Jay just scared the hell out of me.
What?
Why?
Because he's scanning the outline, but I see movement on mine. I'm like, what's going on with my computer? It can't be starting already.
Oh, I was scanning that
one. Going up and down the screen.
You've got a ghost in your Microsoft Word or Google Drive.
So. Yep. It's the ghost of the paperclip.
But yeah, no, hearing the stories about the Ucumar in the Andes Mountains, like they just interviewing people in the cities and towns at the base, or like lumberjacks or farmers that have to go up there, and they pretty much believe that this thing exists and it's a lot more aggressive than what we have up here in North America. But just listening to like some of the stories and tales, like they're like, yep, this absolutely exists over here. Going on over to Europe, we've got the wild men of the woods, kind of found all over Europe, Germany, Scotland, and stuff. And this is where it kind of comes into question that, are we dealing with a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or are we just dealing with a really big like druid or hermit in the middle of the woods that people are running into? And so it's always going to question the validity of these stories and tales based on what's out there and what are people running into. However, in Scotland, they've also got the mountains of Ben Macdui, the Cairngorm Mountains in Scotland. And this one's really cool because apparently people love to hike those mountains. And in 1925, a certified professor and hiker by the name of John Norman Colley went up, and they loved him so much they had him come back and like give a whole discussion. And he basically talked about what he saw, but he said while he was up there, he said he had this sense of dread. He said he felt like he was being followed and he was being watched. And then he just had this sense of, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. This is too much. This is wrong. I shouldn't be here. And then once he said that, apparently a lot more hikers and other people came forth that they've said the same thing. And so some people have gotten like one or two images of it. They'll call it like the big gray man. They have a lot of like Scottish terms for it. And so some people will say it's like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, where again, 6 to 10 foot tall, gray white fur, kind of sunken apish face, very long arms. But other people also say it's like a high singing note. And based on the sense of dread, they tend to feel like it might be like a specter or a guardian or some sort of other paranormal being that is up there in those mountains, wanting people to stay away from that area. But I thought that one was really, really cool, and you guys could definitely look deeper into.
I know you were looking at you were focusing a lot on Scotland. I did some focusing on Germany, and Mike, when we did the Black Forest episode, we missed that one.
Yeah,
And
I
it
didn't.
was
I
huge
didn't
there.
see. I knew that they had a Bigfoot presence there, but I didn't know it was as big as it was.
Yeah, and now I look back at my time in the military over in Germany, and I think to myself, it wasn't just the wild boar I needed to be afraid of out in those woods.
Yep. I'm going to my parents tonight, so I'm gonna talk about the one that you were just talking about from Scotland, because that's where my mom's from. So I'm gonna see what she knows about it.
And if it's still up there, that'll be crazy, because this guy gave the speech in 1925. So whatever's up there will have been up for 100 years now, with it being 2025. But apparently it's like a popular hiking spot.
Yeah.
There are like some blurry images of like a thing in gray or a thing in white, and it'd definitely be cool to look more into and listening to the stories. Then the other one going over is the Almasty in Russia, which they totally believe it's real. Going into the Caucasus Mountains, between Russia and kind of Western Mongolia. Again, large hairy creature. They'll even say that saying the Almast or Almasty, like saying its name, brings back.
Did Jay freeze again?
Just a second.
I did. I'm back. So going back to the Almasty in Russia, it's even kind of bad luck or bad fortune to say its name. Again, large hairy creature. The farmers that knew about it kept away from it. Theirs was a lot shorter. They said it's closer to a man than a gorilla or an ape, because it was probably our height. But again, very long arms, still very, very strong, but more human-like compared to the other ones. And they said there have also been like tons of other things in the Baltic, like there are fish monsters and 30-foot long snakes. So the Baltic area is definitely something to look into. And so this video, which Opa's showing, is from 2005, which we can watch real quick, which was a recording of one of an Almasties running by. And it'll be on the left side of the screen when it runs by.
Right about now, I wish I had the NFL screen drawing pen.
Yeah.
Luckily, it zooms in on the end, but you kind of just see like this
I think
black
they're going to
furry
play it
blob.
again and get a close up here in a second.
Mm-hmm. It's just running and bounding through the woods, and then you just have it leaping and running through. I mean, it is acting like a monkey or ape, just the way it's running. We'll see like
Right.
another video as well that they seem to love to hold like one of their arms behind their back, whether it's for like balancing or holding something. but it's just one of the movements that they like to do. But people have been talking to like the indigenous tribes in Siberia and the Ural Mountains, and they're like, no, this thing exists. It's very peaceful, but it can be territorial. To even the point that the Soviet Union dedicated a professor or two to study it. And they're like, hey, this is your job. Go find out if this is real. Go study them and see what they do. And we'll see that again, that basically the communist governments are dedicating departments not just to like environment preservation, but to looking into like the Sasquatches of the area to see what's going on and how true they are. Then we jump down to Africa and go on.
So if I understand that right, they are completely opposite of us. They are actually dedicating legitimate scientists, either government or private, to go out and check these out.
And then
and
China,
they're taking it serious. They're not sending a professor out to go, oh, this is BS.
No, they believe in the Baltic Mountains that these things exist out there based on what the farmers and everything have said. And we'll see that China ends up doing the same thing. I didn't get a chance to look at his work, but his name was Professor Boris of Porshnev. I can write it down. But he apparently produced papers and stuff on studying the Almas in Russia.
There you go. I wrote it down in the chat.
It'd be interesting to see like what he actually said and what he came up with.
Am I frozen now?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Then we jump down to Africa, and it's kind of interesting that Africa kind of has its own Sasquatch, but not really. But they do have some interesting creatures down there. The first is the Kulakamba, which is found in Central Africa, and it's kind of between a cross between a gorilla and a chimpanzee. That you have these kind of large gorillas, but the faces are more chimp-like, and kind of the arms and the legs are more slender as it moves around. Yeah, this was one of the pictures. Right, yeah, just the eyes and the face and everything, which some people have tried to debunk this, that it's kind of the filter that gives it like the glowy eyes and everything, but still like the face, just how it's a bit more sunken in and everything, and almost a bit more human-like. Definitely raises some questions about it. Then we've got the water babajan, where again, kind of like the rainforest, normally baboons are only like a couple feet tall, but they've had stories and had reports of seeing them up to 6 feet tall, just walking around, going after like fruit, being very shy and territorial. So not a lot of stories, but definitely they said they have seen some sightings of just really large animals. So like in the rainforest, we might have really large sloths walking around. We might have these really large baboons in Africa. And then the last one, which is kind of closest to the Bigfoot that we have, is the Otang, which is in South Africa. And again, not a lot of stories. It's elusive but curious, 5 to 7 feet tall, black or brown hair. And it's kind of just a note that's given to not really hunters, but any scientists or researchers that want to study animals down there. It's kind of passed along that like, hey, if you see kind of any of these bipedal monkeys walking around or these bipedal apes, keep an eye out, record any data that you can. But while you're researching whatever you are down there, keep an eye out for these guys too.
I thought we had a picture of that one. I guess I was wrong. I was thinking of something else.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
A good gap to freeze on.
Jay's coming back.
Yeah, luckily it froze in a spot in between a break.
That works out really well. All right, I'm gonna take a break here and tell you guys I feel like an idiot. I can see a red dot over my left shoulder. And I was trying to figure out what that was. Guys on YouTube, they can't see it. It's just letting me know I'm being recorded.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
doing
even
really
notice
well
that.
tonight. I'm doing really well tonight.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, I thought I was having a rough day.
All right. Well, now I think we're getting into Asia next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Hey, me and Jay were dancing.
Yeah. Nice little segue. Getting into the big one, the Yeti in the Himalayas. Again, cool. So we're completely ignoring Australia. No. We're getting there. That's
We're
actually
getting
one of
there.
the last ones. Don't worry, we're covering all the continents.
Oh, good old Nadine.
But starting with the Yeti in the Himalayas, again,
He froze.
It's really cold in the Himalayas.
That's about all I know is it's mountains and it's cold.
Oh, he's back.
There he is.
there we go.
How do you guys
excited to
game
see,
with
like,
this internet, man?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too.
It's only the streaming. Whenever I deal with streaming, it cuts in and out. Like when someone's streaming or I'm streaming, I guess the
That's
internet
so
just
weird.
can't handle the constant communicate. Gaming's fine,
Wow.
but
Yeah.
whenever like someone's trying to stream a movie or something, it'll do these little hiccups. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. Hey, all the technical issues we've had.
Yeah. And the biggest one is me saying, well, I have no camera. Why isn't it working? But yet my computer's got a camera open in another app. So, and I'll sit here pissed off for a half hour trying to figure it out. Yeah. So we always have problems.
And you're being accused of saying lastly a lot.
My apologies. I'll say next. I didn't even realize it, so thank you. I'll work on my vocab.
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember hearing it.
I didn't hear it, not that I recall. So
next,
these guys keep us on our toes.
Mhm.
So yeah, Nadine. Lastly, okay.
It's kind of interesting that like the Yeti is in the Himalayas, and so they've seen white or gray hair, but they've also seen reddish brown. And the Buddhists are very fond of them. They say they like to watch over like holy areas, and the Buddhists consider them guardians of the mountains. 1925 they've been spotted. 1950s they've been spotted by hikers, and Nepal has even used the Yeti as a mascot. To kind of show like, hey, it's friendly, it's part of the attraction. Come check them out in the mountains as well. Nextly. Next would be the Yared in China, the ape man in China. Like also similar to Europe, they were known as the wild men.
I think I forgot to pull this up for you.
Oh yeah, this is from the hikers, one of the images, comparing like a climbing pick to one of the feet. So that was like a huge photo taken in the 1950s by the hikers.
I like this. Nextly.
But the Yaren in China is really, really big. Again, reddish brown hair, considered very aggressive, going back to the 800s. So there's really, really old records, including like the Qing Dynasty, of the documents of China having to deal with Bigfoot and Sasquatch. It would eat the livestock. It was recorded in like their medical books. They said the laugh was creepy and almost like a human when they had to hear it. Then it was kind of swept under the table with Mao Zedong. He didn't want it scaring the farmers. He wanted to maximize production. So he actually halted all discussion about it. And then eventually when he was ousted, back in like the 1970s, is when they went back to the research and got really excited. There's tons of stories and documentaries from farmers that deal with the bamboo, or farmers in the mountains that have run into these things coming in, trying to get livestock, trying to get fruit and stuff. The lumberjacks, the villagers. And again, similar to Russia, China has a government agency focused on finding the Yaren, to the point that they have a bounty that if you bring in a live or a dead one, they will give you money. and no one's claimed it yet, but they do have like thousands of dollars that if you bring one in, they will pay you for it.
Thousands of dollars?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to suggest Alien might go and I go over there and try and hunt one, but not for $1,000, a couple
No.
$1,000. No.
I'll stay right where I'm at, hidden away in my little cave here.
And then the other one in Asia is the orang in Malaysia. The sightings are back to 1870s. They're huge, black hair, 10 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This one excites me because of the size. Yeah, it's kind of getting to what the size we have over here.
10 feet tall, living in the jungle, loves fish and fruit. The Asli tribe first reported it, and that's really kind of the pattern that we see, is that every indigenous tribe around the world really has a story about some sort of Bigfoot Sasquatch guardian living in the mountains near them. And then as the colonial people came in the 1800s, they've also started to run into these things as the world got explored. In 2005, a family of orangs was sighted, and that's highly unusual because pretty much every story you hear, the Sasquatch is by itself. It's not in a group. It's not with a family. But at this point, they said a family was sighted, and apparently the government went in, and people believe that the government captured this family in 2006, but the government denies it. So we have no idea if the stories were made up or if this is a government cover-up in Malaysia. But that was a big story in 2005, 2006.
So it's, I mean, essentially the same as here in the States, where UFOs, people can believe it or not, but the government will never come out and specifically say, yes, we have, or no, we don't. You can't ever get a definitive answer.
We'll wait.
He's drinking.
Come on.
There we go. I was going to say, that's a long drink.
And if I'm not mistaken, nextly we get to make Nadine happy.
Yep.
With the Yowie in Australia, which was originally called the Yahoo, because of the noise that it made. So I guess it had some sort of a yip or a howl like a Yahoo, and that's why they called it that. Before eventually they talked to other tribes and it went over to Yowie. In fact, when the stories made it from Australia to England, it was known as like a Yahoo or Yowie before there was even talks about Bigfoot or Sasquatch in America. So that when they heard stories in America, they're like, oh, this is just like the Yahoo in Australia. So, Western civilization really had its first big encounter with these things in Australia from colonizing it. These ones were also big, anywhere from 6 to 11 feet tall. So we're getting taller the more east we go. Thick reddish or brown hair, muscular. These ones are a bit different. Like they have the flat face, but they've been seen with fangs and possibly bat ears. Some say they're like shy or elusive. Others say they can be aggressive and territorial. They love tree knocks and they love doing loud howling noises. Let's see.
And isn't the tree knocking, isn't that really common over here too?
That they'll do it to like find each other, kind of use it as like a communication system, which wasn't really talked about like anywhere else. So I guess it's really just Australia and America.
Yeah, I've got a buddy who's really into it, and that's the one thing that he talks about a lot is the knocking on trees with either other like sticks and branches or rocks and other things like that.
So is there a pattern to the knocking that anybody's noticed, or just kind of?
I think it's just one. It's just kind of like one or two. I don't know if they do patterns per se.
Okay.
But something.
And we do have a question.
Kat, if you find one and you're able to pet it, you'll have to tell us all about the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them can be territorial, but some of them are also curious. So it kind of depends on which one you find.
And who that question is from?
No, there you go. Nadine said
I wouldn't
it
even questioned it. She'd pet it no matter what.
Yeah. Nadine said it perfectly. Yeah, you can pet them at least once.
That's right.
Who knows what's going to happen afterwards?
But again, apparently the ones in Australia stink as well. There was talk of a couple of them throughout the world. Sometimes they have backwards feet to kind of confuse their predators if they really have any. But that was sometimes also brought up. But apparently one wandered into like a town in Australia and they said the smell and the stench was horrible. And that's kind of before we jump over to North America is one of the patterns.
Before we do that, where did you say Nadine was from again?
Tasmania. So
Tasmania.
yeah, I believe it's part of Australia.
Okay.
But yeah, Tasmania. Nadine, is it technically a part of Australia?
So she might have some stories too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be why she brought up who's getting closer to smell them. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Apparently, it's a rather wide radius around them that the stench will permeate. So,
I don't know.
After going to Comic-Con a couple of times, it's pretty easy to understand the smell. It can spread across large areas.
Yeah, tiny island.
Did we miss anything on Australia? Is there a different besides the Yowie? Is there something else that we missed down there?
I mean, the different Aboriginal people have different names for it. Like one's called like the Quinkin and the Jugabina, but I think like the Yowie and the Yahoo are the two big ones. Okay. Unless Nadine has any stories or she's had any encounters.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were in the minority.
So one thing that I don't know if you intentionally are going to talk about it later, but it's under your Australia part where at the bottom it says, "Oh, it's okay." So you're moving it around, right there.
That's what scared the hell out of me too.
Yeah. Yeah, where it says we're also seeing 1860s and 70s, then 1960s and 70s, and then is there going to be a resurgence in, the 2060s and 70s? I found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as we're looking at the dates, I mean, the 1860s and 70s kind of lined up with the colonization of the world, with the spice trade and everything, and so it would explain why there were more encounters with it as people are talking to the indigenous people and exploring that they would run into them around the world. But then we'll talk later that a lot of the most recent stories happened in the 60s and 70s or 1960s and 1970s.
Yeah.
Particularly a lot of the videos. So it's just, I like to look in like patterns and things and the dates keep lining up. So it's like, is it just a coincidence or are they active for like 20 years and then they kind of chill for like 100?
Yeah. Well, me and Steve had noticed that. I think it was when Carl was on. And he's talking about stuff in Sweden and, different cases in the years. And then as we start thinking about it, there, everything that happened in Sweden in a certain year, there was stuff going on here and then in England or Germany at the same time. So all the years basically line up.
No, it's definitely really cool to see, is it just a coincidence with kind of, how mankind was spreading around the world, or for some reason are the 60s and 70s of each year they become more active and they become more vocal before kind of receding for like 100 years. So
before we get into North America, I'd like to ask Nadine, and if Mama Drew's out there, are there any folklore attached to these? I mean, you've got things like the Krampus in their folklore. So I'm wondering, are there any folklore stories associated with a Bigfoot type creature? Oh, apparently somebody heard a growl out there.
We'll have to go back and rehear that.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, got 2 people that heard it.
I haven't seen one, but I assume they did have a vague family.
So, all right, I guess we head on into North America now.
Again, going
Land of Florida, man.
we will definitely jump there. It was a low growl. All right, we'll have to go back and hear it because I don't know if Queso was doing anything behind me or something, but hopefully it wasn't on our end.
I'm checking my doors. Neither one of them are opening or closing.
I made sure all mine were closed.
Are my flags moving?
I haven't seen them move.
All right, there we go. Then no ghosts today. No NSA today.
That's interesting that it lines up with the what was going on with Scotland, but that was kind of the only one where I heard where these things kind of give you a sense of dread. But if that's going on in Australia as well, that's also interesting.
Very. So we're about to head into North America, but before we do, I've got one question. Explain the hat.
That's my Squatch hat, believe.
Yeah, but I think there's more to that Squatch hat than you're letting on.
I can't really tell. I see the outline of Squatch, but that's all I see.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't you say that had some signatures on it?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, that's the other one.
Yeah.
The other thing.
Ah.
Now, when we get to the convention part, I'll hold it up real quick.
Okay.
All right, perfect. I thought it was the hat. Really cool. I don't know. I guess I was trying to be the producer and listen at the same time, and I can't multitask.
No, I appreciate it. No, we'll talk about it more when we went to my brother, uncle, and I went to the Sasquatch convention in Tennessee. And I guess we can jump over there, but we had so much fun. And I highly recommend anyone that if you have a cryptid or monster convention near you and you want to go check it out, go. It was a great time. They had the speakers of Expedition Bigfoot come, and we could go talk to each one and get stuff autographed, and then they all kind of had their own panel. But just hearing the stories from everybody, like my uncle made the mistake of like going to the people next to us and be like, so have you seen one? Do you believe? And they went, oh, absolutely. And they all started pulling out their phones and showing images and all like the RVs and the high-tech equipment that they have and how they go out like a couple times a year. And just hearing how dedicated everyone was to believing and searching for them.
I don't know about where Alien Mike is, but I know just a couple hours up the road from where we are here in New York, they've got a huge Bigfoot festival every year.
I believe they do. I'm not exactly sure how close they are. I mean, even though I have never been a Bigfoot fan, a lot of my friends are. So they go to things like that.
But I mean, just in general, like, are there like any like big like alien or UFO conventions as well, like in certain spots?
They do. Steve, the one your mom and brother go to, mom, dad, and brother go to. What's that called?
Phenomenon.
Phenomenon, yeah, and I think that's down like in Vernal, so that's somewhere
huge.
Around there.
It's massive every year.
And I still haven't been.
And out here in New York, over in Pine Bush, we've got the UFO festival every year. Pine Bush being the hot spot of the East Coast for the United States.
And that's the one that I want to go to.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, when is it?
I want to go to both.
When is the one in Pine Bush? Do you know?
It is in June. I don't know the date for it this year, 2026, but it is in June.
I'll see if I can't try to figure something out and maybe be able to do that.
I highly advise it because just hearing everyone's stories was so much fun. There was one of the professors we'll talk to. Me and my brother could talk to him for hours about like the scientific implications of Bigfoot. And one of the stories that we all kind of laughed at was one guy was just camping with his family and he was snoring really loudly. And he said a giant furry hand just came into his tent and kind of covered his face, basically telling him to be quiet. He was snoring too loud. And so basically all my family in the road just kind of looked at me and they're like, well, we've got Jay right here. Let's just take him into the middle of the woods and he's going to start snoring and sleeping and Bigfoot's going to get irritated. tell him to be quiet and stuff.
I can see that. Bigfoot is I mean, let's face it, he's a private citizen. He doesn't want people bothering. That's why there's really no hardcore scientific evidence of him here. Other than, I mean, we got some photos and stuff, but it's all quick snapshots, and he just wants away from people. And so, just some days when I'm around people, I don't blame him.
Yeah, that's me most of the time.
He just wants to hang out and live his best life in the middle of the woods, you know, and just chill.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Just be left alone.
Anyway, I kind of drug you off topic for a minute.
Oh, no, you're good. I mean, again, it starts with the Native Americans, and it was really interesting that a lot of them do have the stories, but it seems to be like more mythological. Again, they kind of see him as a guardian of the woods as opposed to like an actual entity. The big name for him that they use is called Dedek, and there is a tablet called the Yokit's tablet that has kind of pictures of him that a lot of people reference as like ancient drawings of Bigfoot and stuff in the area. But when people have gone back and talked to him, they see it more as like, you know, a scary story to tell the children, you know, to stay away from the woods or he's going to get you and stuff like that, versus believing that they're really living in the woods near them and stuff.
So before you go any further, I'm going to share something. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. One of these days I'll learn this system.
Well, Jay, you just got bigger. Hey, look at that.
Each year, they become more active and they become more vocal. For some reason, are the 60s and 70s of each.
Oh, wow. I did hear the growl. Did you guys hear that?
No, let me do it again.
For some reason, are the 60s and 70s of each year, they become more active and they become more vocal.
What the hell?
For some reason, are the 60s and 70s of each year, they
after the 60s and 70s.
More vocal.
Yeah, that is weird. Anyway, we just had somebody share that. And
yeah, I'm going to be the next Bigfoot. I mean,
my northern daughter shared that one.
Oh.
Well, I almost wonder if it was like a car or motorcycle going by, but we'll have to analyze it more.
Yeah, but to have it end just that abrupt.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that more.
All the spookies happened.
So thank you for sharing that. We're gonna check that out. And now I'll quit getting off topic again.
I don't know. It's fun. It's what half the fun of this is talking about what we want to. And then going through the history after the Native Americans, there's no evidence of Lewis and Clark as they explored running into any. They did run into grizzly bears, which was their first time seeing them. So I'm sure that was a fun experience. And then Daniel Boone talked about killing one and hunting one, but everyone believes this is just folk tales and that he had heard the stories from Australia about the Yahoos and the Yowies, and he loved them so much that he totally had to have a story incorporating himself with one. But that one's been very disproven. And then the newspaper articles, again, 1800s, after the Civil War, moving out west, a lot of newspaper articles came out where people were dealing with these hairy wild men in the woods, and they actually thought they were like dangerous Native Americans or Indians at the time. So they're saying, hey, they're out there, stay away from them. If you run into one, just go home, go in groups. But we don't know, again, the validity of the articles, but they were in newspapers along the West just telling people, hey, be careful of these big, hairy, wild men coming out of the woods and stuff. Now, were they Bigfoot? Were they Indians? Were they just, guys living out there? Again, we don't know, but there are articles out there kind of citing them to be careful. And then lastly, actually saying lastly,
I caught it that time. I heard it that time. Yep. Nextly,
He cracked himself up and froze.
there he goes.
I did.
Jay, I want a screenshot. That's perfect. You froze and gave us duck face.
Did you get a screenshot of it?
I didn't.
Oh no, please no. The last one is because Florida's got to be special. They have their own skunk ape. The name again because of the foul odor of living in the swamp. Brown fur, gray fur, looks like a giant gorilla. Really seen in the 1960s and 70s, as well as settlers in the 1800s when they went down there with the Seminole. I did have fun reaching out to the Seminole tribe to see if I could get more data from them and their experiences with it, but they haven't reached out back to me yet. But if I get any data or am able to talk about the stories, I think that would be a lot of fun.
I think you will. The tribe out there are very, from my experience, very open. They will talk about anything out there. So
no one seemed to like scoff or anything. They sent me to the museum and the library, and then I just kind of left a voicemail.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what they say back to you.
And we do have a couple of screenshots for Opa to share. Basically, there was a lady in Florida that was saying, hey, there's an orangutan or there's something that's stealing my fruit. And over and over again, it was stealing her fruit. And she got really, really upset about it. And so she went out there and flashed a couple of pictures. And this is what she found. Whether it's a giant ape or a Sasquatch or a skunk ape of some sort. But it almost looks like it's grinning with its bottom teeth right there. But I mean, how do you
He's laughing.
Mm-hmm. Because he's stealing the fruit.
Yeah, I'm getting the fruit. You ain't getting it back, lady.
But just to take a camera flash and see that thing staring back at you.
Yeah. Jay?
Yeah.
I hate to tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
There was a screenshot taken.
Oh, I'm sure people will go back.
Yeah, it's already in our little family group.
Nice.
Now everybody froze. That was weird.
And lining up with the story about what this lady told, come on. Linking up to the lady with the fruit and the screenshots, they actually went out to the zoos. And there were no missing orangutans, no missing monkeys, no missing gorillas, nothing that could report that, hey, the zoo's missing this animal. And now it's out here stealing this fruit from this lady. So when I was at the convention, we were also told about there was an insane asylum in Florida that a skunk ape was possibly taken to, as they thought, it was a crazy person. But it looks like that one was also debunked.
Yeah, that one I've got a kick out of when you mentioned it yesterday. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Because it was buried in a mass grave, and they were talking if they ever got the rights to dig up that mass grave, there might be a skunk ape in there. And so people were actually really excited about that. But it turns out, no, it was like a person off of like a Taiwanese fishing boat with hay fever and was having hallucinations, and they were having to hold him down. And so that's kind of where the story evolved from.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, in 1967, we've got the Patterson-Gimlin film, which is the big Sasquatch video that probably started the craze really here in America, beyond all the stories and everything.
Hey, give me 1 second. I'm trying to load it up.
I mean, people have found the spot where it was. They've compared the heights in the video to going out there and be like, oh, it's definitely like 8 feet tall. And like I said, I was talking to Opa and asking my family, and at the time it was just kind of scoffed at like it was tabloid material. Like, here's this big video, and everyone went, yeah, that's not real.
Sorry, it it was being a little complicated. And apparently it's still being complicated.
But I guess they were out there recording, and it just walked right in front of the camera and kind of looked at it and kept going.
Man, amazing car. When did you become a millionaire?
What is this for?
We're trying to get it.
Oh, we're doing a
I
car
don't know how
podcast.
that happened. That was not playing for some reason. So that you want to be a millionaire is in no way a sponsor of this show.
Not yet, anyways.
So yeah, the Patterson film won't play.
No, that's the big one, and it's been studied and been analyzed. And some people are like, no, it's a gorilla suit. And other people are going, it's 8 feet tall. And so there's some other good videos out there too we can share. But again, it's always a question of
the next one.
It's always a question of how valid are they. Is it people playing a hoax, or is it legitimate? This one was shown to us at the convention, and I thought this one was really, really cool.
Here's something running on our left, and it stopped real quick. And then Dad looked up at up there at the tree, and he's like, oh, I see something. Then it takes off and crosses this gap, and he goes into full-blown panic mode. The camera goes dead. He's like, we gotta go. He's like, do you got your gun?
But no, they were recording that at night, and they got the footage, and then they were scared because, I mean, if you are in the middle of the woods at night with this thing, that's wandering around, you can't be too confident in yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, Steve, I spent a lot of time in the mountains, and I've had some crazy stuff happen, and I know, I don't care if I believed in it or not. If I saw something like that, no, I'm out. I'm just not staying there.
So unfortunately, the next video does have the FBI warning that, so we cannot share it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That one's like a family as well. But no, I love the Stacy Brown footage because they went back and kind of were able to compare the spots, and it was about 8 or 9 feet tall, and its movements and its strides are insane on the ground it's able to cover. And then similar to the Russian one, again, it likes to hold that arm back as it walks for whatever reason, whether it was holding on to something or it's just the movement that it enjoys. But it was cool because he was there and he was talking about the experience, and basically they knew it was out there, and they were in their truck, and they were like, do we go out there and try to find this thing in the middle of the dark woods, or do we go home? And they're like, well, we're here to find this thing, and we're scared half to death because it's out there and we can't really see it. And they went back out, and that was the footage they were able to capture, was it going between the trees.
All right. So I think the next part you're going to get to is the one that fascinated me yesterday. And I think it may have been part of it that got Mike thinking, well, could be a possibility.
No, definitely. This was one of the segments we saw at the convention. His name is Dr. Don Jeffrey Meldrum. He is on Expedition Bigfoot. He is a professor that still teaches classes in college today. And me and my brother love talking to him. Like, they kind of had to kick us out of the line because we were having fun talking to him about like research papers and talking about Bigfoot. And no one in the scientific community will publish a paper on Bigfoot until we have like more information and more proof. And his argument is, black holes. People publish papers on black holes all the time. We don't really have a lot of scientific evidence about them, but people are okay processing it all the time. But you won't let us take all of this information on Bigfoot and kind of compile it and put it together.
Okay, so that brings up a question for me then, because I mean, you know what my stance is on it, but I've also not put, you know, the time and effort into it like, you know, you have. But so why do you think that, you know, because it's the same as UFOs and aliens. There's going to be people that believe, i.e., me, that there is no hardcore proof all the time on it. And then, you know, you and Bigfoot. So why will they publish stuff? Why do you think they are so willing to publish articles and everything like that on UFOs and aliens when they won't on Bigfoot? Because all you see, honestly, is tabloid stuff, or if you go to different websites and specifically search for something like that. So, why do you think that is?
I think the reason we're trying to push for it is that, you know, we see Bigfoot as kind of like a missing link between, you know, apes and gorillas, or as we get into it, orangutans and humans, that they are on this planet and stuff, versus aliens and everything kind of coming from outside our solar system. And you can probably talk about this, but like, are there, as like we're exploring more and more of the galaxy, are there like traces and evidence out there of like aliens being to like other planets and stuff? And I don't know. That's why I'm genuinely asking.
Right. And see, to, you know, going by that logic, to me, it would make more sense, honestly, to publish more stuff on, you know, Bigfoot, because if they're something that's here living on this planet right now, why not do that instead of something that's coming from somewhere off in the galaxy that you have no clue about? But it just, that's something that I've thought about a lot, you know, for quite a while. Why is it such a big deal to publish all that?
I mean, all the journals are peer reviewed and discussed and like kind of taken as like fact and stuff. So I think we definitely have to find more evidence. Nadine is jumping to a topic we will definitely talk to, especially with Alien Mike soon, about like the discussion and link between Bigfoot and aliens. But first, this is kind of discussing, you know, why don't we have bodies? Why aren't they more visible? And so what this Professor Abel basically did was he goes, okay, let's take all the stories and let's build a biological profile for Sasquatch. And let's take what we know from all the stories. So what do we know? There's always one. So they're very independent and solo. Whenever you hear the stories, it's not a family. It's not a mother and child. It's not a grouping. It's always one of them by themselves. If it's a group, it's very, very, very rare. There are occasional stories about people running into like a group of Sasquatch, but most of the time it's just one. Let's see, it's always an adult. They're always 6 to 8 to 10 feet large. It's never like a teenager or a child that we know about. They're always tall and hairy. They don't have tails. And then because of like the body hair, we can never really deduce a gender from them. No one ever says, oh, that was obviously like a male or female Bigfoot, just that it was a Bigfoot. We never really see a family. And then as well as like the reddish brownish fur, as well as they like to howl, or they like to mimic like human laughs and stuff. And so kind of taking all this data, we say it pretty much closely resembles the orangutans, which are very, very intelligent ape-like creatures. But we don't really compare them to like gorillas. We really more like orangutans. And so he then went on, okay, how do orangutans operate as a society, where you kind of have the females and the children kind of with themselves, and then you kind of have the males kind of spotted around in the areas, kind of rotating and moving about in their territories. And so based on all this data, he was able to kind of compile it and figure out, okay, the other big thing is that if an environment can support black bears or grizzly bears, it can also support a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. That bears and Bigfoot kind of need the same like food and territory and environment to survive. And so if you hear stories of a Bigfoot in the area, if there are bears, it's probably really, really likely, versus like the desert or something where there aren't a lot of bears. you're probably not going to see a Bigfoot as well. So putting all of this together, he did give us like one state, and he said there's probably about 60 Bigfoot in the state of Tennessee, which is where the convention was. And then adding that into states and variations, we're probably looking about 2,000 to 3,000 Bigfoot in America. And at first that number blows you away, like 2,000 to 3,000. We're not talking 5, we're not talking 10. We're talking thousands scattered across America. Why don't we see them more? Why don't we hear about them more? And so on the one hand, we kind of have everyone's stories. But then let's compare that to other predators and other animals that are in America. Looking up the state.
Come back to us, Jay.
And of course, it goes out on the stats.
Jay, I have to back up to where you just started talking about the other animals.
Yeah, so in North America, there's about 300,000 black bears, and moose, there's about 100 and 150,000 moose in America. And you'll hear about stories going moose hunting, and they never see a moose, or they go exploring in the northern mountains or northern forests, and they'll never even see one. And bringing up like stories and stuff, it's like, how often do you hear about seeing like a bear carcass or bear bones or a moose, like a dead moose? And those are very, very, very rare. And so we're taking like black bears where there's 300,000 of them. They're very rarely seen. And now we're taking a 1% Bigfoot. So, you know, we're taking a much smaller sample size, distributing them out through America. And then they don't want to be found, and they're hiding in the woods. And so everyone's like, well, where are the bones? Where's the bodies? Where's the evidence? There's not a lot of them around, and they don't want to be found. And so based on the sample size, it's going to be very, very difficult to see these things.
Yeah, as a former hunter, I can definitely understand this. And this is kind of where it puts me in the 50-50 category of believing in Bigfoot. I mean, there are still parts of the Utah wilderness that's never seen footprints of a man yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, even the elusive deer that freezes on the freeway when you're driving 55 miles an hour, I've been out hunting and never seen one.
Yeah.
An entire hunting trip, I've never seen it.
Yep. So Steve, I sent you a message earlier. I will continue to nag about the internet tonight, so it may be better next time. Unfortunately, I do have to hop off. I've got to head up to my folks' house to help them with some things. I hope that's still okay.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
everybody. Okay. I will finish watching when I miss, and then I will talk to you guys as soon as I get back from my parents' house, if that's all right.
All right.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. I'll talk to you guys in a little while.
All right.
I kind of wish I had redistributed the topics now, because there was one coming up that
okay.
you really wanted to talk about.
Now, we're gonna definitely do an episode on what you're going to talk about soon.
I can briefly talk about, there are TV shows about Bigfoot. There's the Expedition Bigfoot TV show. It's okay. It was really cool meeting all of them and discussing it. But the problem with the show is, like, one, we don't know if it's real or staged. And two, it's kind of like whenever they really get somewhere, or you start to think they're getting close to a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, like the season ends, or they kind of go somewhere else. And you'd think if they were actually trying to pursue them, they would kind of, extend it a couple episodes to actually try to find this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that. I've watched a couple of episodes, and to me, it's like some of it is very believable, but then there's that one little piece that you're like, okay, did they stage this? And it's like Mike and I were talking about on ghost hunting. The members of TAP go to the Queen Mary, which is been reported haunted, but because somebody staged a prank in one of the rooms, that blew their entire investigation. Now they have to question, is everything else real?
So, I mean, there are some, like, I would say, go to like the highlight YouTube videos where people put highlight clips together, there have been some crazy things that have happened on the show. Was it Sasquatch? Was it something else? We don't know. But there have definitely been some sightings and some things that have happened to them that are basically unexplainable. And those are always fun.
So, but getting back to the math, I mean, that to me that makes perfect sense, and that is what led me to be a 50-50 believer. I mean, I'm still really skeptical about it, but you get up into the Rocky Mountains, you get out in the mountains of California, Washington, and Oregon. There are places up there that man still hasn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing how much of our country we haven't explored yet. So it is possible that, yeah, we just haven't found the right place.
And they have, and they really enjoy it up there, and
Yeah.
you know, they don't want to leave. So
There may be one cave in the Rocky Mountains you walk in, it's a Bigfoot condo unit.
and hopefully you can just smell it beforehand before you end up
Well,
wandering in.
I will be honest, there have been some times I've been out in the woods, and I mean, you get used to the smell in the woods, and all of a sudden you walk up and you're like, that smell doesn't belong here. I mean, granted it does, but you know, the smell's kind of telling me I don't think I belong here.
I mean, it's kind of jumping around. Like, I would love to like go squatch hunting, but the only problem, and you guys will probably do an episode, is the nearest mountains are the Appalachian Mountains near me.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Oh no,
what
thank you.
what other things are out there that you just, you know, you might find a squatch, you might find something else. So
If we ever do a live hunt out in the Appalachian Mountains, I'm hiring some hillbillies for protection.
we're
I'm
going
hiring
armed.
guys that live in those mountains, and I will heed every one of their words.
I would not hang around if I came across one down here. Not friendly. It seems that it's kind of based on the areas that some people say that it's very territorial. Some are angry, like the South American one was angry. I think the one in China are very aggressive, whereas some are more relaxed and kind of curious, but can also be territorial. So it's kind of like looking at what the indigenous people say on, you know, how scared or how cautious you should be should you end up finding one.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were friendly, unlike a dog who will wag its tail and put its head down, and you can just tell it's friendly. How do you tell a Bigfoot's friendly?
Probably just on like how it reacts and like stuff. We have kind of a family joke that what we want to do is we want to go out and just start grilling onions, and it's just going to smell so delicious that he's going to.
Yep, you froze there for quite some
the
time.
double
That
face
time.
out. I know. I was saying like our family's kind of has like a secret that we're gonna go start grilling onions in the middle of the woods, and he'll smell it and it'll be so delicious that he'll have to come check them out, and then yeah, we can leave him some gifts and stuff.
Yeah, maybe Nadine's onto something here. So the next part is, I think, what really got Mike interested.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that he's not here for this, but I'm sure you guys will cover it again. In that
Oh,
there is a,
I know we've already talked about it. When we get back to this episode, we're having you back for this one.
There's a big group that believes that aliens and Sasquatch are connected. Either that the aliens leave them here, or they're test subjects, or they're kind of slaves or in trouble. And you know, they'll see like glowing eyes, and then they'll like, you know, they'll see Sasquatch with glowing eyes, and then they'll see aliens, or they'll see UFOs, and then Sasquatch start appearing in the area. Also, both tend to deal with like abductions and disappearances. And then some people have cited the fact that if someone's like following a Sasquatch or looking into it, suddenly it disappears, and it's like, how? Our stories will leave the bush and have an understanding, leave them alone. Yeah, basically, I've heard that too. That kind of probably the indigenous, they see them as guardians, and that, you know, if they're nearby, just let them be.
I've heard just in the research I did on Native Americans, they do the same thing. They will leave them offerings of food or something out there.
But going back is that in 1973 in Pennsylvania, again, 60s and 70s, it was called like a double flap or a double blip, that so much paranormal stuff was going on in Pennsylvania in terms of Bigfoot sightings and UFO sightings. And people would see UFOs, and then the Bigfoots would start showing up, you know, presuming that they landed or let them out. Or people would see Bigfoot wandering around, and then they disappear, and the UFOs would take off. And so I think Mike and you all are definitely going to do some more research on that one.
Oh, absolutely.
To talk about in the future. One thing I did want to bring up, though, is going back to the ley lines of last week. Basic respect. In that I wanted to see if like the Bigfoot were along the ley lines, and pretty much everything I saw was there are ley lines along all the mountain ranges, which is where you usually find Bigfoot. So whether it's a sixth sense or they just enjoy being in that area, lining up the UFOs with the Bigfoot, that if the UFOs are using the ley lines and Bigfoot just happens to enjoy being around the ley lines, that could definitely connect the two.
The more, I mean, we're only what, 13 podcasts in. We're not even up to amateur status yet. But the more I start researching all this, the more I realize that it all starts getting connected. And I even started looking at things like the major hauntings, and the ones that are the biggest ones that are most explored end up being the same place that UFOs are. They end up being on ley lines. And they even, you start watching YouTube videos, the serious ones, not a couple of those that, you know, they're in it just for likes and shares. But you watch the ones that are serious, and it seems like you'll hear them say, well, we were here back in the 80s and the 90s, and we really got some great stuff, but then it died down for a bit. We still get some here and there. And all of a sudden you start putting together, maybe this is all connected somehow.
I mean, the joke is, you know, stuff being built on like Native American burial grounds, but how far back can you go on, like, you know, did they consider it sacred ground? Did some religion or culture consider something like sacred ground that has to deal with on top of everything else with the ley lines and the paranormal and everything? So
yeah. Well, I'm going to leave you to talk for a second.
Okay. I am basically just wrapping up, coming down to, you know, do we feel Bigfoot are real? I really, really, really hope so. I am an enthusiast. I think it definitely made me more of a believer just hearing the stories across the world that he's on every continent. Pretty much every indigenous tribe believes in them. Governments have looked after them and are still researching them. And so many people are just, yeah, they're real. All these farmers and people living basically near mountains and forests just claiming, yeah, there's something out there.
Now I've researched. That's a very good question. Maybe you can answer that one, Jay.
Let's do some math.
So while we try and come up with an answer for that, just be careful, because you type in things like that, you never know what websites are going to come up. You can tell when you're listening to an interview of somebody that spotted a Bigfoot. You can tell the storytellers, you know, because they start to get really graphic. Like The leaves were blowing, and the trees were rustling, and they start really describing things. But then you've got the guys that they told this story back in the 60s, and not a single word has changed up to today.
We also noticed the aggressive storytellers that almost feel like you're not going to believe them, so they get like right in your face.
Oh yeah,
They're very like enthusiastic, like, no, this really happened, and of course I saw it, and they get very almost like defensive with their storytelling.
Yeah, definitely not a subject for YouTube.
But doing a quick Google based on like different primates and stuff, it seems a lot of like gorillas and bigger animals tend to live like 30 to 40 years old. So it probably makes sense that they would follow in line, unless, you know, because we're dealing with such a larger creature, they just tend to live longer. But then also, again, we kind of don't know, because all of our sightings are really dealing with adult Bigfoots. We really don't see kids or teenagers, and so we really don't understand kind of how their life cycle is, if it's really well hidden.
It's going to be one of those things where a UFO, a ghost, a Bigfoot, a Jersey Devil, one of these days we're going to have one, and then the scientific community is going to be like, well, we blew it on that, didn't we? We should have been studying this years ago. But I do know YouTube after hours. I don't know if we could do something like that. I do know that you know, back in the 60s and 70s, that the UFO hunters were the nut jobs. The Bigfoot hunters were the nut jobs. But it seems like slowly we're moving out of that to where it's becoming more mainstream to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I think that's the point where we're going to end up maybe finding some legitimate proof one of these days.
I
hope so.
I hope so too. I feel like with all the technology we have, particular drone technology, which is really allowing us to get like into other areas easier. I kind of have a sense that like if we don't really get any good proof in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm probably going to be more skeptical, just because of all the camera
do you watch
equipment.
Destination X? As soon as you unfreeze, you can answer that. Well, welcome.
I'm here.
I get to see my ma. So, do you watch Destination X?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it. No.
I can't remember what episode it was, but they were doing an episode. It was like on ghost lights or UFOs or something, and they had a drone in the air, and on thermal they accidentally captured a cryptid or something running through the forest and swamps down in Louisiana, Florida area somewhere.
Nice.
Louisiana, Alabama. That's not what they were looking for, but they're like, what the hell is that?
Could have been a skunk ape.
So it is like I told you at the very beginning, I'm a 50-50 believer. I still think there's several creatures that we haven't identified on this planet. I mean, we're still discovering new creatures every day. Whether it's in the ocean or on land, we're always finding something.
No, I hope he's out there. I hope he's real. As my uncle would say, I hope there's something out there that man hasn't messed up yet, and he's living his best life out there. But like we said, just the stories around the world, it definitely seems a lot more believable. And I hope we get more definitive proof and some better video footage of one.
Oh yeah. So But I do you have anything else?
That was it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, man. I really enjoyed this. I learned quite a bit. I know Mike did. He may not be out of that 100% skeptic range, but I think you may have convinced him to do some more research. So, I am working with somebody right now with some merchandise, and I'm going to be reaching out to somebody else on some merchandise.
Woot.
So keep an eye out. Hopefully, we can have something up in the next week or two. But this is the first shirt that came out, and then we've also got some vinyl stickers about it. And I'm really hoping that somebody I know is going to be able to help us out with maybe some mugs and things like that. So keep an eye out for some possible merchandise coming up right before the Christmas season.
Perfect.
Nadine, have a good night. Thanks for joining us tonight. Before you leave, hit that thumbs up down there. Give us a like, subscribe. Share our information. Share our information with your friends. Share our information with your enemies. Just and keep coming back every week. So
Yeah, thank you for having me.
we are going to have you again, and it's going to be for the crossover UFO. So it has been a pleasure tonight, Jay.
Thank you. It was a lot
I
of
look
fun.
forward to having you back on. Right now, I don't know what our next show is going to be because Mike had to take off, and he's the one that was going to tell me since he picks next. I will tell you on November 14th. Oh, I'm sorry. Our next show is Ghost Stories. We will not be live next week. We'll be dropping a video of ghost stories.
For Halloween.
So, last call, please. If you want to have your ghost story read, get it out to us at midnightsignalpodcast@gmail.com. If you see us on Facebook, send it to us in Messenger. We'll be more than happy to read your ghost stories. Again, there are thousands out there that we can just pull up off the internet and read, but we'd actually like to read yours. So get those stories out to us, and we will read them next week. And then next Friday at 6 p.m., the recorded show will drop, and you guys can listen to some ghost stories on Halloween. October 4th, I'm sorry, we're into November now. November 14th, we've got Madame Ophelia coming back to discuss Talking with the Dead.
Ooh.
So we hope you enjoy. We hope you join us for that one. We're still working on a paranormal investigator to come in on November 6th. If he doesn't have anything going on that day, he's going to come in and talk to us about some of the investigations he's done, and maybe share some pictures, some EVPs. So we got a few good shows lined up. And other than that, you guys have a great Halloween next week. Enjoy the spooky season. And until our next live on November 6th, stay spooky. We love you guys.
Have a good night.